Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth and final part. If you'd like to see how we got to this stage, I'll link the first part down below and you can start your felting journey. We left off with this little pony, but we're going to take it one step further with only wax and a tiny bit more wool. What I have in my hand here is felter's wax. I'll be using the natural wax. I actually love how it's molded. I wanted to take a bite out of it several times because it looks like a chocolate bar. The only thing that stopped me from doing so was the smell of wax, and it's honestly really satisfying when it breaks. And this is how I'll be molding the horse's hooves. A lot of felters use wax for making claws or noses. It's usually created as a singular piece and then glued in or attached to the main sculpture. I have made wax hooves one at a time on this Pegasus I made when I was first learning how to felt, but I'm excited to try and make these again. It's recommended to use an electric wax melter, but this worked just fine for me. Using a tea light, just make sure you don't leave it unattended, of course. The wax melted clear, which I was expecting, and it had these little brown specks, which I'm not too sure what they were, but I just pushed them to the side to avoid getting those bits in the hooves. For these hooves, however, they're already felted into the sculpture, so I'm just going to be dipping it into the melted wax. So I've also got this cheap brush here that I wanted to try different methods of how to cover hooves in wax. My first attempt was dipping the brush in the wax and paint it onto the hooves, and it did give a nice precise line and didn't get into the white wool, which I was worried about, and kept painting it fully around the hoof. I had to be quite quick with painting it on because the wax cools so fast, so it took quite a few dips to fully cover the hoof. You can see that it starts to turn white as it cools down. As it cools, it starts to harden within the wool, so I've used my fingers to just mold it a bit as well. This is what it looks like with just a light layer of wax on top. You can see that it still has the color of the wool beneath. The bottom is a bit rounded, but I'll fix that in a bit. I wanted to try a different way by dipping it in the wax instead of painting it on. I dip it in and let it soak for a second, and then let it cool for another second more, so I don't burn my fingers. And with my fingers I push the wax upwards to cover more area, but trying not to get it onto the white wool. And I've got this small flat spatula tool that I found and used to smooth out the bottom and all the whole surface of the wax, because sometimes it can get a bit bumpy. I liked the method of dipping it in the wax more, so I continued this process with the two other hooves. And this is how the hooves turned out, and they look super good. I really like the glossy look and the way the color is kind of splotchy. It looks really realistic. Since it takes a while to fully cool, I went ahead and retouched the hooves and made sure it stood up well on its own. But once it's fully cooled and the hooves are hardened, they don't budge at all. Now on to the very last step. I'm going to be adding some wool around the hooves to portray feathering. Using some white wool and following the usual layering technique around the hooves, starting at 1 centimeter above the hooves where the wax ends. I don't want to felt too close to the wax because it could get stuck and it gets residue on my needle. I felt about 2 layers of thickness around the hoof, and just trim and brush it out once the layer is secure, and cut it to the length you're happy with. I like for the hooves to be showing just a little bit, so I leave 1 centimeter of the hoof showing. I do the same exact process with the 3 other hooves. I also want to just share this life-saving tool for my crafting space. I get a lot of those loose fibers flying about when trimming and sculpting pieces. This little vacuum has really helped out. I recommend getting one if you're having the same problem. It will save you from a ton of sneezes. Here is the finished piece, and it looks so cool. I think it's well worth a little bit of extra time to make the hooves look extra polished. And as a bonus, if you tap them on the desk, it also makes the little click-clack sound of horses walking. I'm really happy with how this little guy turned out, and I would love to know if you're planning to make your own little pony. I hope you all have enjoyed this 4-part tutorial. I had a lot of fun making this little horse and showing you all how to make these hooves. I hope the videos were helpful in any way, and remember, you can always apply these techniques to any other projects you're making. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. I hope to see you guys in the next one.